Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Lewis, and I'm the Executive Director of ARC, and I'd like to welcome you to ARC's Fireside Chat, our weekly Friday afternoon fireside chat. Many may not know this, but miners would keep a caged bird in mines because the demise of the bird provided a warning of dangerous levels of toxic gases. As our community members come home from being caged, they too provide a timely warning for how our society cares for poor people and communities of color. Today, we will discuss what it means like to come home in the midst of a global pandemic and how COVID-19 impacts our recently released community. I'd like to go over a few instructions just so that you can keep up with us. If you go to the bottom, if you're on the computer and you go to the bottom of the screen, there's a ribbon where you can find Q&A and you can send questions or comments via Q&A box. Or you can email us at info@antirecidivism.org. In the chat, be sure to select all panelists and attendees. If you want to direct or speak to all panelists and attendees, we'll be able to see those things. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce some really amazing people that I have the honor and pleasure of being able to work with and have gotten to know over the years. So first, Carlos, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, brother.
How's it going, everyone? Thanks for having me on this special edition chat. My name is Carlos Cervantes. I'm an ARC member. I'm a life coach for our Second Chance Apprenticeship Readiness Program. I'm the co-founder of the Right Home program as well. I come here because just like most of our population, most of our members, I too was incarcerated, spent 11 years in the system, got out in 2011, and now looking for a way to serve my population a little more deeper, making sure that people are coming home safely, making sure that people are provided with adequate resources and services, as well as opportunities for them to also shine out here in the community. So thank you for having me again.
Thank you, Carlos. Greatly appreciate you, brother. Welcome to the show. Harvey, great to have you here. Would you please introduce yourself, brother?
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Thank you for having me. My name is Harvey Knight. I'm the Senior Life Coach with the Anti-Recidivism Coalition out the Los Angeles office. I'm tasked with the orientation process. I'm tasked with the orientation process, and I'm blessed to be able to meet the members when they first come home. You know, I get a chance to talk to them and, get a chance to help them, guide them, through the orientation process of coming home. And I'm also too formerly incarcerated. I did 29 years. I've been out 7 years, and I'm off parole, and I've been with ARC for 3 years.
Thank you so much, Harvey. Greatly appreciate you. Harvey and I met when he first came home, and I've watched him just transition and watched his journey, and it's been amazing. April, welcome to the show, and could you please introduce yourself, sister?
Sure. Thank you, first of all, for having me coming on to represent the women over here on this side. So my name is April. I've been home 3 years. I did 28 years in prison. I work at a New Way of Life. I'm housing coordinator at a New Way of Life reentry project. It's such a pleasure to work with the women that I walk the yard with, and for them to see that there is a new way of life. There is something different, and it floats inside of each and every one of us if we grab onto it. So I'm thankful to be a part of this panel. I'm thankful to be able to give you our side to talk about it. Also, I am a member of ARC. I've been working a whole lot, so I have not been physically there, but I am 100% with the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. Thank you once again for having me.
Hey, thank you, sister, and thank you to New Way of Life, an amazing organization that does incredible work with women. We will definitely, at the end of the show, be putting up information if you need to reach out to a New Way of Life. Incredible organization. Dion, my brother, could you introduce yourself?
Hey, my name is Dion Thompson, and I'm a life coach at the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. I was formerly a life coach at one of our housing facilities. Prior to that, I was a demonstrator at the Amity Foundation. I paroled in 2016 after serving 20 years. Pretty much when I got out, I had to ask myself, what can I do to help? What can I do to give back? And pretty much what I do is I help the men and women navigate the potholes and the hurdles, as I call them, when they first get out. And that's pretty much what I do, amongst other things.
Thank you so much, Dion. Great to have you on the show. My brother Mariano, please introduce yourself. Welcome to the show and welcome home.
Thank you, Sam. So my name is Mariano Orozco. I served 18 years out of a 37-year prison term. Through Senate Bill 261, I had the opportunity to go before the Board of Parole hearings and was found suitable. I paroled March 3rd, and I'm now at a reentry home in downtown Los Angeles. I'm here to fulfill primarily my desire to give back to my community, those people I left behind, and my current community here in Los Angeles.
Mariano, thank you so much, brother. Great having you on the show. Appreciate you. So let's get into this. What does reentry look like? Carlos, you're in charge of the Ride Home program at ARC. Can you tell us what that is and why is it important? How have things changed in this pandemic?
So we created this program in 2013, a collaboration with Stanford Law School's Three Strikes Project. Mike Romano wrote Proposition 36. We passed it here in California. And the Three Strikes Law is what really brought this to my attention. You know, I know there was people that were spending 25 to life for having a small dose of crack cocaine, for stealing a pizza, for stealing a pair of socks. And that caught my attention automatically. I knew that people had already been spending 15, 20, 25 years incarcerated. And now, what does that mean for someone? What does that mean for someone coming home? Today, even with COVID-19, you know, with this huge pandemic, you know, we're able to go into the prisons and make sure that our folks are coming home safe and healthy. One of the biggest things that I ask is, CDCR, can you screen them before people get out? Do they have any symptoms? Can you provide them with medication for them to have for 1 or 2, 3 months? Because we don't know what their situation is going to look like. The main thing for us is that our drivers are safe and healthy, that our individuals getting out are healthy, but nevertheless, we don't take away from actually welcoming our brothers and sisters back home. So we continue to provide that first meal. Breaking bread for me, it's a huge part of why I continue to do this work in the community. Also allowing them to have some pair of clothing, hygiene, have transitional housing already set up, because many of the circumstances that they're gonna walk into are gonna challenge them to now live a fully free life, but also for them to have the support. You know, one of the biggest things that I talk to our people about is making sure that they have A, B, and C plan. You know, making sure that they have the resources necessary for them to carry on out here. And the reason why we provide the first meal, clothing, hygiene, is because we know that those $200 that they give you at the gate, it's not enough. So we want to make sure that we provide full support, introduce them to organizations out here that are doing great work and providing the resources for them to carry on as a free person. Today, you know, we've helped almost 500 individuals come home, again, providing them with the coaching that they need, you know, as they're getting released from prisons.
Thank you for that, Carlos. And for our audience, you'll see on our screen right now some of the photos of people that have just recently come home, who were able to experience the ride home with either Carlos or one of our other drivers. And we're not the only organization that's assisting people that are coming home. A New Way of Life has been doing this with CIW, with the women that are coming home from prison, and CCWF. We also partner with A New Way of Life and other organizations to help our sisters that are coming home, our non-binary family. Everybody's coming home. We want to make sure that they have the support and that they know that there are organizations that they can definitely connect to. That first day out, with so much uncertainty, especially in the world as it is today, is vitally important, so that people know that they're not alone and that they have support and resources. All they have to do is reach out and connect to their life coaches. And in that context, so Harvey, in the COVID context, how have things changed and how have they stayed the same? Like, what are people's day-to-day lives like now with the change?
Wow. I mean, drastic, bro. With the advent of COVID-19, even with us, we're working remotely from home. Our last day in the office was like March the 11th, and we've been working from home like ever since. So since COVID-19, this has changed everything. It's changed the way our day-to-day lives, the way we function like every day. Practicing new social distancing laws, staying 6 feet away from people, wearing masks, sometimes even gloves. You know, my mom's older, so now I'm thinking about my mom every time she goes out in traffic. So I'm going to make sure that she has on a glove or a mask, or, you know, is she being safe when she's out there going to the grocery stores. So I mean, a whole lot of things have changed, bro. We don't have those same kind of interactions no more. And at first, as far as our community is concerned, it was kind of a concern to me because I didn't think we was gonna have the same kind of interaction. But since the advent of this COVID-19, it seems like we've been reaching out to members more so, like especially like via Zoom, since Zoom is here now, and seems like we're connecting more so with people via Zoom. Usually when we're at the office, people come to the office, but they're doing other things. But now, since people are kind of like stuck with COVID-19, it's like we're having more access to the members coming home now. Like people like Mario, we're seeing Mario like all the time now, and which is really great for us. You know, so I think on the negative part, it's terrible that we're in this pandemic, but on the other hand, I think we're making it work as far as us reaching out to our members and with via Zoom, we just communicate more, and we reach out to members in San Diego now that's being connected through via Zoom. So I think one hand, it's kind of like messed up because we're not in the office, but on the other hand, it's cool because now we're utilizing Zoom and we're bringing us close together.
So would you say, just to put a pin in that, when a vaccine is finally found for COVID-19 and the pandemic is over and we're back to a semblance of normalcy, we now have a new tool that's been there for us for a while to actually add to supplement the support that we give our membership and people coming home?
Definitely. I would definitely say that because now we're more connected.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Harvey. April, can you tell us about A New Way of Life's work, and specifically how's it been during this pandemic? What are some of the challenges you've seen as a result of COVID-19?
First and foremost, the connection with their families. The women coming home and we're living in this shelter in place time. And you having women who's coming home after doing 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years and not able to go straight home to their families, you know, because we're born nurturers and we want to see our children. And with this COVID, it's restricting them from going to their families due to the safety of everybody involved. Harvey said something as well. He said, but it kind of makes us closer, the ones who are dealing with them one-on-one, like in the housing. Now I am going to the prisons, picking up the women. I am taking them to go eat their first meal. And what's the beautiful thing about it, even though the COVID is there and it's restricting a lot of things, one of the beautiful things that we're able to do here at A New Way of Life is give them a familiar face to come home to, because I walked that yard with them. That same one that tore up that yard my first few years, thinking life meant life. It meant nothing besides life behind bars. And I am the one pulling up to come to take them home. So I think with the softer approach that we're doing at A New Way of Life, the soft approach and talking to them to give them the understanding, because inside the prison, you're in a cell, you don't know what's really going on. You're just afraid that the COVID monsters out there is going to get you, your family's going to get you, or you're so, you don't know where you are. It's just something that they've seen on TV. So it's just like seeing Slender Man. You don't know if it exists or not. So that our ride home and spending that time is able to tell them, because I speak the same language that they speak behind the bars, to introduce them to that. But the COVID has restricted their, because I don't know about you guys, but when I laid up in that bed after 25, after 15, only thing I thought of, as soon as I go home, I'm going to go get me a place, go get me an apartment, I'm going to have this much money, I'm going to do this. Coming home from COVID, you're not coming home to none of that. You're not working, which a lot of times people start feeling useless. they start feeling like they're just stagnant. They did all that time, and now why they can't move around? Because this disease, this virus, this pandemic is out here restricting everything. So it's financially stagnant. It's you know, first part of independence for those of us who come home is having $1 in our pocket, to where we are able to go and choose something off of a menu, and that is stopping the monetary part of it. But at A New Way Life, we're making sure when they come home, they're introduced to a whole refrigerator. Cook you a steak, cook you whatever you want to do, and we as sisters are sitting here. We're going to support you in every aspect. You know, you need that free world hug when you come home. You want somebody to embrace you. If coming home from COVID, no one can embrace you because it's the social distancing. Just think of how a woman feels not being able to get embraced after doing all that time, you know? And so we're very sensitive to all that here at A New Way of Life. And we are making sure that we're there. Like I'm there. The staff is there. Susan shows up, she's there. All the staff are there to show them that you're not in this fight by yourself. You're not. So all your needs, we're gonna try to meet every need you may have. And we're gonna work on the other parts. We're gonna work on your wants. And you know, you know, that's the biggest part I could say. Just wanting to embrace after doing all that time, to wash off all that system off your body, and to give somebody a free, unrestricted, untitled hug.
Powerful, powerful. Absolutely agree with you. I've heard from so many different people, and for the viewers, each one of these amazing people on this panel are formerly incarcerated, including myself. And as April pointed out, to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, to be able to work, to be able to earn $1, I've watched not only myself, but many others that have come home, and that's the first thing we want to be able to do, is to be able to support ourselves. And coming home under COVID, you can't get an ID. DMVs are just now beginning to open up. You can't get your social security card. You have no money. And the county's locked down, the city's locked down. And so if you're in transitional housing, you've literally been transported from one institution or cage, so seemingly, to another form of imprisonment because we can't go. And so I've heard that from so many. But even more so, Mariano, you came home just this March after doing 18 years. How do you feel, and what has it been like for you?
So first of all, I have to say that I totally agree with what Carlos, Harvey, and April are talking about. Personally, I have benefited from all those three aspects. Not necessarily the ride home, because I do have support from family, and you know, my wife was able to bring me down to LA, and my brother. But I feel really confident in the assistance and the support that ARC has afforded me. That humanity aspect where April was talking about, I experienced that firsthand with my original life coaches from the Hope and Redemption team, which I met while I was in prison. These men embraced me and reassured me that everything that they afforded me was because I was human, because they loved me. I did not have to prove that I had this, that I deserve this. So that has been very, very important in my introduction to society, because in LA, I don't have family members. And with what Harvey was talking about, the availability, specifically with the self-help, the Zoom, when I have had the need to reach out and I needed something, the hesitation wasn't there. Harvey and Dion immediately convinced me and said, hey man, this is what I have, and what I have is yours. It's yours because you are human, you are part of the community, and you belong here. So I have benefited from those things. Now, in regard to how I feel with sort of going from one institution to the other, it does feel very much like that, very much so, because I lived a lifestyle where I was very prepared for everything. or at least I thought I was. And I was as prepared as I could be coming from prison. And the plan A, B, and C that Carlos mentioned was there for me. All that was taken away from me with COVID and the crisis. I no longer had this family member that would be able to come and see me, visit me, drop something off, because I couldn't go anywhere. The frustration with technology. At no time did anybody afford me the opportunity to become familiarized with technology in prison. And coming out here and with the COVID situation, everything is being handled through Zoom, electronically. I didn't know any of that. And I was sort of expected to understand these things. And anytime I reached out to other people that didn't speak my language, that have not been impacted, they would simply say, hey, email this, jump on your laptop, jump on your phone. And I didn't understand that. And I became very frustrated. And I had to really rely on my coping skills that I've learned along my time to say, hey, man, you know, this is not my fault. This is not my fault. And I was able to go through that journey because of people in ARC that graciously counseled me and assisted me in doing those things. With that said, I am very grateful that I am out here in the free world. I have opportunities to do some things that I've never been able to do, but I have not yet had that experience. I feel like my freedom is being postponed to some degree. I don't have contact with my children, physical contact. I have not been able to spend time with my wife, my brother, and show this appreciation to the people that have been there for me. It's all been via phones. So it does feel like it is postponed. Furthermore, with the civil unrest, I am very familiar with being oppressed some way, shape, or form. And this has created a passion for me where I want to say, I want to be out there in the front lines. That's the kind of person that I am. And I want to do this for my community. But I can't because I am on parole. I am in a reentry home. And I admire so much. I've been exposed to a community who are out there in the front line and do these things. And it just warms my heart. And I'm very grateful for the people who are out there actively looking and seeking change for the people we have left behind and for people who are still out here.
Thank you so much, brother. Greatly appreciate you, Mariano. And a couple of points I just want, what you just said, and I didn't say this at the beginning of the show, and normally I do give an update. So just today I received notification that the 15th person has passed away from COVID complications in the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Day before yesterday, the first woman at CIW passed away from complications of COVID-19 within the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. And one of the things that I would like all of our panelists or all of our viewers to know too, is as civil unrest, as we are in the streets protesting for rights for Black lives, which I support 100%, we also cannot forget our brothers, our sisters, our non-binary family that are currently incarcerated. We cannot forget them. I know that they're included, but we need to really, really lift their voices up and make sure that they're not forgotten because they matter too, absolutely. And oftentimes when things like this happens and we have so much upheaval in our society, those who are most marginalized are those who don't have voices, which are those that are behind the walls. And part of what we do at ARC and New Way of Life and so many other organizations, we want to amplify those voices and make sure people know what's going on inside those institutions. If you think about it, for some, they might say, well, 15 is not a lot. One death is too many when it can be avoided. I'd like to move the show forward. Just a thought for you. Harvey and Dion, what does it take to meaningfully support people, especially during the pandemic? How are you bringing our community members into the fold differently during the pandemic? And what has changed in ways that we welcome people home?
For me, that's a good question. Harvey had mentioned about the Zoom. I like to use the word intimacy. So like Mariano, basically, so we have, me and Harvey, we do 2 groups a week. We have addiction support and thinking for a change. So how we altered that, because we got guys that have done 39 years, 37 years, they transitioned from prison and they step right into a sober living or a transitional home. And on modified program lockdown, so to speak, again. So what we do is basically I do my best to network with our staff, bring them on and introduce them to the new guys that have just gotten out, that are not able to move freely, bring resourcing in as far as who we're connected to, ARC, as far as yerba mate, and different things like that. And so that sort of quells the anxiety, such as like Mariano, you know what I mean? I know when I got out, I hit the ground running. So I can only imagine transitioning after doing 20 years and not being able to move, you know? But, so we bring it to them. And that's the blessing about Zoom. It's more intimate. I've reached out to so many members. Basically my phone blows up, you know what I mean? And it's phone calls are pretty much 45 minutes per phone call. So I think that's the upside to it, you know, but the downside to it is just quelling the anxiety of the men and women that transition to this COVID.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of what Dion was talking about. I mean, definitely during this pandemic time is really different because you, like Dion said, you know, I came home 7 years ago and I came home, hit the ground running. You know, Sam had hooked it up to her, everything we got, we came home, hey, you're gonna go here, you're gonna get this, you're gonna get this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna hit the ground running. During the pandemic, you know, people had that fanciful idea in their head, hey, I'm gonna get out, hit the ground running. Then they get to the place and it's a stop sign. So we're seeing that a lot, right? And it's a lot of like frustrations, you know, anxieties because people want to get out, they want to start their lives, right? But unfortunately, the pandemic was something that, you know, none of us foresaw. Flip side, the pandemic, us bringing the members into the fold, this electronic stuff has been like so amazing. And Dion said it, like it's more intimate. When we're at the office, you know, we be members all the time, but I might have like 15 minutes with a member just coming through, setting them up for orientation or whatever, right? Or an hour when it's our one-on-ones. But now I'm having more time with members. I'm spending like at least 45 minutes with each member. And we talk about the pandemic, we talk about life, and it's really more intimate. And like Dion said, I think we just welcome people with open arms. You know, we're reaching out to people are reaching out to us. And we just accepting it. Dion said our phones, our emails are blowing off the hook. And we just want to be accepting of people and let people know, hey, it's a community out here of formerly incarcerated people that's striving to do the right thing. And like Mariano is one of our great guys, right? And we hear the frustrations people have, right? But two at the same time, too. Just know those frustrations, just temporary. You're just in a program for temporary. Hopefully this pandemic stuff be over with temporary. But I mean, as far as how we're functioning right now, I think it's amazing to me. I didn't think we would be this far as far as our functioning, as far as still bringing on members, still communicating with the community. And it seems like we have not missed a beat. And with this advent and with this Zoom thing, I keep, you know, just talking about it, but it's amazing to me because like right now we're having this chat right now via Zoom, right? And it's great because now the members, they get to see us. We don't just have conversations with them on the phone. Most of the people I talk to now, we're doing Zoom. So it's more personal to me now. And I think we just welcome the members with open arms.
And let me add one more thing to that, Sam. So yesterday in our group, we had over 30 men and Dr. Bakila attended. And seeing the faces of 30 men that were affected by the bills that ARC authored, you know what I mean? And that's what ARC is. That's our foundation, is our bills and policy. And it was a trip, man. I've been with ARC for 3 years. And I actually, Harvey and Mariano could attest to this, man. It was like, damn, I'm a part of something great. You know what I mean? Seeing all these men, man, that were affected by 261, 1035, 57. And what broke me is when LWAP, Life Without Parole, he's out now. And basically he said he wanted to thank Bakila and he wanted to thank our policy team. And he said, my mom,
You just froze, Dion. So we have to come back to you to make that point. However, I'd like to go to the chat box just for a minute to Michelle, whose husband is in a fire camp. Michelle, when you reach out to your husband, please ask him if he would like to continue to be a firefighter, to continue on, because right now he's considered what's called a hand crew. If he'd like to continue on with training as a firefighter, we have a program called the Ventura Training Center that's in conjunction with the California Department of Corrections, CAL FIRE, and the California Conservation Corps that will allow him to actually become a wildland firefighter if he meets all the criteria and can pass the training. So ask him to speak to the captain on the fire camp where he's in, and that's something that's definitely available to him right now. Dion, the last sentence you froze on, you want to give us that last sentence so I can move on to Carlos?
Basically, I was just saying that the pandemic, COVID-19, I believe that we have stepped our game up. ARC has stepped their game up, man, and it's awesome. I believe that's what I was saying. I was saying a lot of little stuff, but I think that's what I ended with.
Okay, Carlos, thank you, Dion. Greatly appreciate the insight that you and Harvey have shared with us. Carlos, what does, from your perspective, from your experience, from all the work that you're doing with the Ride Home, and even with the Second Chance Pre-Apprenticeship Boot Camp, what does meaningful support look like to you?
For me, it's getting those vital documents that people need. You know, it's getting people's driver's license, IDs. It's getting people's social security cards. You know, it's getting people access, you know, to good careers, not just jobs. Good education, you know, not just mediocre, you finish getting your GED high school diploma, but go beyond that. You know, those opportunities have to be presented to our people. One of the unique spaces that we're in right now, not only during this pandemic, but during this revolution, is continuing to change policy, continuing to break down this prison industrial complex that we're in, and to continue to stop mass incarceration. You know, as you know, it's our people that are in there, you know, and for my people inside, I stand in solidarity with you. You know, I see you, I hear you, I feel you. And that's because I was there for you, with you, and I'm gonna continue to fight for you so you too could have an opportunity to one day see your loved ones, you know, to one day hug that special, your child, you know, that individual that's maybe now grown up, you know. So for me, it's having those opportunities to thrive in the community, to make sure that your voice is heard, you know, to make sure that you also have the support to stay out. You know, a lot of us that have been out here for a long time, you know, my main reason for staying out of trouble is because I want to make sure that I'm no longer a statistic to the system, you know, and I want to make sure that, you know, our voices are heard during this pandemic, during this revolution. So getting these vital documents, getting great opportunities to careers, getting a quality education is what matters to me. You know, during this Black Matters revolution, you know, Black lives matter to me because children's lives matter to me. And that's where we're at.
Hey, thank you, Carlos. Appreciate you, brother. April, what unique needs do you see in the communities now, especially as it comes to our sisters that are coming home and our binary family that are coming home?
People need to extend opportunities and not look at past choices. Housing, that's one of our main things. Housing, a lot of women are still in transition housing because they cannot get housing. During this pandemic, it's still like it's a pick and choose of jobs in a sense. They're hiring for people to be in the neighborhoods. They're hiring for people to be on the front line in the grocery stores, but they also need people in corporate. But they don't hire us going into corporate. They put us in these unique situations where just get the crumbs. So I think that if we start being looked at as if we are really essential to the movement of life, you know, and they start giving us more opportunities, I think that that's one of the things. So I know we've been talking a lot about reunifications, programs, homelessness, but I don't see too much opening outside of what is the bare minimum. And I've been home, okay, like myself, I've been home for 3 years. I'm just now getting an apartment. 3 years, I've been working since day one. So the one thing that's a blessing is I have been able to work through a new way of life, which is an essential job. I've been able to do that. But there's so many women that's come home that don't have the jobs, don't have nothing to look forward to, basically. nothing to look forward to. The schooling, everything is closed down. I know we have the Zoom, but the uniqueness of having something to continue to look forward to. I know I'm sounding like I'm babbling on. Some of our women got jobs not too long ago, working in mailing, doing mail, right? But when they signed up to work for jobs, them jobs before, they weren't hired. Now they want them to be on the front line, you know, handling the jail. I mean, handling mail for $12, $13 an hour. Why is it okay right now for them to get these mediocre, nothing positions that will put them more at risk in the pandemic than when the pandemic wasn't going, they didn't offer them anything. I think that's just puzzling for me. It's boggling for me. Them same opportunities need to be afforded after and give them something to look forward to. Just like that $1,200 stimulus, what was that for? What household is that going to, for how long? You know?
Thank you, April.
Does that make sense, what I'm saying? I think I've had too many conversations with people who just don't have a tomorrow to look forward to through this pandemic, what they're offering. If we weren't in these situations where we had each other's back with the ARCs, the community coalitions, the new way of lives, the outside people only wants them to be where they're easily exposed to the pandemic, then embracing them when the pandemic is not there. That's how I feel.
Thank you, April. Carlos, what would you say are unique needs in our communities based on what you've seen both within your realm of being one of the life coaches for the pre-apprenticeship program and doing a ride home and your own personal lived experience?
One of the things is having people that are getting released get home safely. If you spend 15, 20, 25 years, the world is a new world. You know, when people get placed in buses, when they continue to get shackled up and be brought to a train station in shackles, and then having to get released and find your way home, you know, that kind of sets our people back. You know, that kind of sets us up to fail. So if we could organize with the community and continue to provide, you know, adequate rides, transportation for people coming home, that will be great. For us, you know, ARC Ride Home program, what we do is have volunteers, members, you know, that know how it is to be in these buses, to know how it is to be coming home, you know. If we could show a little more support for folks that are coming home, that would be amazing. Not only that, but giving them the opportunities. You know, for instance, a lot of individuals have to find their purpose in life. You know, a lot of individuals want to reach back out to our youth, want to be going to high schools, giving talks, want to be, you know, going back to school and furthering their education. You know, let's start by providing those opportunities for our folks. You know, housing is a huge issue right now. Right now, I picked up individuals, if they don't have housing, I have to go look for housing for them. You know, parole agents, probation agents, they're not helping. You know, they're not helping in these situations where now, you know, I'm responsible for that individual getting out, which I'm glad that I'm equipped with the resources. I'm glad that I'm equipped with organization contacts that I could easily softly hand off somebody that I just picked up and make sure that they have a cell phone, make sure that they have my number, or make sure that they have ARC's, a New Way of Life's number. That way they could contact somebody and have the support that they need. You know, back in before this pandemic happened, we had a lot of individuals getting out just by going to a supermarket was overwhelming, you know? So part of it is coaching the individuals while they're inside, letting them know like, hey, you have a whole community out here that's gonna support you. You have a whole world of resources that's gonna support you. Even when we fail in some of those instances, I know that there's somebody out there that's gonna say, hey, Carlos, you know, why don't you bring him to the Amity Foundation? You know, why don't you bring him to Kavanaugh House? You know, because these are the lines of communication that we need open during these times. Or not only that, but why don't I have the resources to put them in a hotel for 2 weeks so they could self-quarantine? Those are the resources that we need. You know, those are the connections that we need to make, because not everyone that's getting out is coming healthy, you know, and it sucks because you're in a situation that even if you go and try to get medical attention, it's going to be very difficult to get through these times. But at the same time, I know that we have the support. You know, we've been resilient in these situations. You know, we've been strong in these situations. And I know it's because we learned that from inside, you know, continue fighting for what's right, continue to fight for your freedom. And for me, the best thing is seeing people thrive during situations like this where they could still, you know, regardless of how it is. You know, I had a friend that her son graduated yesterday, and it was virtually, you know, but it made me really proud to see that we could still stand together and support each other. At the end of the day, it's that motherly love that got this individual to achieve that goal. And that goal is going to take the individual beyond this. When I say, you know, our children's lives matter, I want to make sure that our children have the right education, that continue to fight for justice, you know, that continue to fight against this racism that's going on in this country. And for me, it's I'm gonna continue to fight for people that are inside. You know, I always say I'm gonna be able to change whatever I'm gonna be able to change, but I'm teaching my child to change the things I couldn't change.
Thank you, Carlos. Greatly appreciate that insight. Mariano, what gives you hope? What has been unexpected? Like, you knew you were going to come home and you were in COVID, because that was March is pretty much when everything started shutting down. That's when you came home. But what has been unexpected, and what gives you hope?
The one thing that I really did not expect is all the work that is being done sort of behind the scenes, if you will, for those people who are currently incarcerated or are still incarcerated. I understood early on that ARC put in a lot of work in order to create opportunities and create hope for those that were incarcerated and even out here. But having had the exposure that I have to the ARC members and the leadership in ARC, I'm really, really surprised at how many people have put in the work, sacrificed their money, their talents, and their time in order for somebody else that is a stranger to them. Most people are strangers that we help out or they help out. I'm very surprised at that. And at the same time, I'm very surprised at the lack of support, like Carlos mentioned, from pro agencies. There is this huge lack of empathy and preparedness. They are not prepared to deal with someone who is ready to take care of business, if you would. It's just not happening. It is not there. The expectations are the same, as far as I understand, that, you know, the same expectations that the pro agents had for pro leads 10 years ago are the very same today. And really, no matter what's going on, there isn't too much flexibility going on there. And it's very quick to feel overwhelmed, because that puts me in a position of feeling somewhat powerless. So I'm very surprised at that the agencies that I was told was there to assist me isn't really there, doesn't really exist. And the agency that I thought would help me just a little bit has ended up helping me out tremendously. And that is actually the very same thing that gives me hope, is getting to know these same people that have this passion, that speak the same language, that have this empathy for other people, for our own community. And it isn't only or exclusive to people that are incarcerated. It spills over to all kinds of communities out here. And that is actually what gives me the most hope. And the platform that is being created and growing exponentially gives me a great amount of hope.
Hey, Mariano, thank you for that insight. That's amazing. It's a reality that I think we need to lift this up. Voices that are literally silenced often. If we thought in just these terms, if George Floyd had not been murdered on the street, had that police officer removed his knee from his neck, where would George Floyd be at right now today? He'd be in prison and forgotten often. And so those are things that when we look at the intersectionality of criminal justice reform, police reform, and all those things, one feeds the other. So when we're talking about these reforms have to be framed in a way to understand that the system has to be changed in a number of different ways, not just once. Policies have to be changed across the board, both on the local level, such as cities and counties, and then on the state level and on the federal level. Carlos, want to share your closing thoughts for the audience? Take a minute, give us your closing thoughts. And please let the audience know where they can find more pictures of some of the work that you've been doing and some of the other ARC members and staff that are helping bring people home through the Ride Home program.
Thank you very much, Sam. For me, you can find our work at www.ridehomeprogram.org. We work closely again with Stanford Law School's 3 Strikes Project. Go to the ARC webpage. You can find our stuff there. My final thought on this, brothers and sisters, if you're hearing me, if you're listening, if you're looking at this, and if you know that there's somebody that's incarcerated, send them some resources, send them some books, send them some of that inspiration, some of that hope, so they can continue fighting for their lives before they're being released. For you brothers and sisters that are inside right now, currently, have a plan A, have a plan B, have a plan C, have unlimited resources. If you need to reach out to any of our organizations, reach out to us. You could always reach out to me at an ARC office. You could always call me if need be. I want to make sure that our people are coming home safe. I want to make sure that our people continue to stay healthy. And I want to make sure that people have the same opportunities that I've had or better. And my thing is that at one point, I want people to realize that inside is that while it's cool, to be getting out, sometimes our biggest fight is going to be out here. And to me, I'd rather be fighting out here than to spend another day in prison. So thank you very much for having me in this platform. Again, today we have to be guiding our individuals that are coming home, making sure that they get the very best of who we are today.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Carlos. Harvey, closing thoughts. What would you like to leave the audience with today?
Wow. For people, get involved, stay connected, be a part of the community. I think ARC is a great community. Get involved, like with this resource right here, bringing us and the new way of life together. The main thing I think is what's important is community, especially during these times of, to me anyway, uncertainty. I'm finding like more and more, it's like my family and the people closer to me, I'm feeling that I need more so than ever. So I would say like stay connected and stay close to that community that you have.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. April, closing thoughts, and what would you like to leave the audience with today?
I would like to tell everybody that if we stay together, if we don't forget where we came from, if we continue to reach back and help somebody pull up, we're a powerful front. We have to stay focused and stay in the attitude of gratitude. I'm thankful here at A New Way of Life. I'm thankful for art that there is a safe place to land after doing all this time. That we do have people that understand our language or can interpret our language to those who may not understand. And that's what I want to do, stand in the gap and be an interpreter for the language for the women who have been inside. Patience, empathy, and consistency. If I say it, I'm going to do it. If I owe it, I'm going to pay it. And that's the consistency that with our sisters and our brothers that we have to stay in. Like what Carlos was saying, anybody could call me. I use my personal phone. Call me collect I always say from 4 in the morning to 3:30 in the morning. Anytime, I'm there for you. I want to stay in that attitude of gratitude because I was sitting here for a purpose. Even during our the mistakes and the choices that I made back, we are all here to walk in our purpose, and our purpose is to teach and to learn, to help and to give. And that's what I do, and that's what A New Way of Life represents. And if we continue to do that with our brothers and sisters, we can always have that support. We just stay open with it and continue to help each other.
Thank you, April. Really loved having you here. We're going to definitely have to bring you back. Dion, closing thoughts that you'd like to leave the audience with?
Sam, if I had my way with it years ago, April mentioned something about purpose. I'll probably be retired right now living on an NFL pension, you know what I mean? But with that, I've probably been dead, not being able to handle it. purpose. You know, what does purpose mean? And after I left college, man, I was like, I didn't have no purpose. I was wandering aimlessly, you know. I mean, I had good jobs and what have you, but the thing was, it wasn't fulfilling. Fast forward, just hearing Mariano speak, that makes it all worthwhile. You know what we do, and it's not even a job. This is a role. This is a role that I play. You know what I mean? And giving my brother and sister a hand up. And basically, I just want to shout this out to the audience. If you have someone that's incarcerated, I mean, I've walked the yards with guys that didn't get mail, guys that didn't get visits. That means a lot. You know what I mean? And that means a lot. So I hope if this webinar didn't do anything, hopefully it shed a little light to where the men on the inside and the men and women on the inside, they need support, because one day they're going to be released. I mean, if it's up to ARC, you know, so just support your loved ones, man. And I believe I found my purpose. I love this organization, it's my family, and I love just helping, you know what I mean? And membership service director, Blair, she tells me I need to start setting some boundaries. But my phone is 24/7, and my friends can attest to that. That is my self-care. Picking up the phone and listen to a guy that just did 30 years. He gets out and his sister's weighing 87 pounds. And hey, bro, I can't make it to the group today, but I got to go help my sister out. You know what I mean? So those are the things that make this, my role with ARC, a blessing.
Thank you, Dion. I appreciate you for those insights. Mariano, could you take a minute and share your closing thoughts? What would you like to leave the audience with today, please?
Oh man, so for sure, I would like to encourage those people, the family members and friends of those who are still incarcerated, to find it in their heart to make an investment in these men and women. There's nothing more dangerous than somebody that has no hope. That creation of hope is paramount to everything. And so I would just encourage them to do that, take that step and take that leap if they haven't done it. And if they are doing it, to continue to do it. It is something that changed my life forever. I've had that. I'm blessed to have had that. And I would also like to thank everybody in ARC and those friends that I have in LA and everybody that's ever been a part of my recovery, my reentry, and in my life. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for being on. Thank you all for the amazing work, the heart and the effort that you put into the work every day for our people that are coming home. Next steps, a call to action for our viewers. So for our viewers, ARC is currently, ARC with many other partner organizations in the community are working to pass California Assembly Bill 2342 by Assemblymember McCarty. Assembly Bill 2342 will allow people that are on parole to earn time off their parole term by participating in rehabilitative programs, civic engagement, voluntary efforts, and education. For those of you in California, please email or call a California Assembly member and your California Assembly member and ask them to vote yes on Assembly Bill 2342. This will shorten time on parole. So if you can imagine, a person comes home, they get a job, they're in college, why should they stay on parole forever? How you want to stay? How can you stay in touch with ARC? On the screen, you'll see our Twitter handle. Please follow us on social media. Visit antirecidivism.org. Follow A New Way of Life on social media at anewwayoflife.org. Thank you all for joining us today. Next week, we will have an even more powerful topic, if there can be one, which I doubt, but know that people that are incarcerated are human beings, and people that are incarcerated matter too. Black lives matter. We all matter. I love you all. Make sure that we support our people that are in our communities. The last thing I'd like to say is this. In times such as this, when there's such upheaval and different things that are going on in our communities, sometimes a simple call or text like, how you doing, sister? How you doing, brother? I'm thinking about you and I hope you're well, means a lot. Stay connected and let people know that you care, because we are literally, some people might just say it, but we mean it. We're in this together. Thank you. Take care. God bless.